What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at you live once again through the power of the internet. And I thought I would post a little movie review, though this one's going to break the mold a little bit. As you guys know, I tend to only post a movie review if I hate a movie or if I love a movie. Very rarely will I post a movie review in the middle, with the exception of whenever maybe it's a video game movie or an important movie for some reason, then I'll actually come in here and talk about it. And I think Tomb Raider is one of those movies that I think a lot of people are curious about, but they don't know whether or not they should go see it. And I thought we'd talk about it a little bit today. So first off, let me say it's sitting currently at Rotten Tomatoes at about 49% based on the critics, and the audience has about a 71% approval rating. I think I lean a little closer towards the critics. So what I'm going to do is whenever I do a movie review, I'm going to talk the first part spoiler-free, and then when I get into the spoiler section, I will move this little poster of Laura over here to over here. So if you jump around in the video, you'll know. I'll give you a fair warning when there's going to be a spoiler in the spoiler talk, and I'll go ahead and move this over. But the first half of the video will be spoiler-free. So I took my friends to see this movie today in IMAX. And I think that's a good place to see this if you want to see it, because obviously it's fairly action-oriented. IMAX is just so loud now. I don't know if I enjoy that. I'm an old man. I need earplugs at this point, which is really saying something because I'm like half deaf. That's fine. Anyway, long story short, is this a good movie? No. It's definitely not a great movie. It's not the next coming, the video game movie that we all wanted. Is this a bowl flick? Absolutely not. It's definitely, it's enjoyable, and I think if you sit down and watch this, and you go in with zero expectations, you're probably going to be pleasantly surprised. It does really kind of suffer from the thing that a lot of video game movies do. It suffers from the fact that, you know, they're trying to fit in little moments from the video game, little items from the video game, trying to capture it and make it feel like the video game, which I think we all want, but sometimes they really mess up when they try to do that. So little aspects like that. I think overall the plot is more sensical than a lot of other, you know, video game plot movies. I do like the casting is very, very solid. I think this young lady plays a wonderful Lara Croft. She looks just like she does in the reboots. I think it was very accurate. The casting of the father, Walter Goggins as one of the characters. I won't even really give anything away about what his character is, but Walter Goggins in this movie is incredible. No matter what Walter Goggins does, he's incredible in this movie. So. And it does lay the groundwork for the franchise. I really feel like the ending came across as a little pretentious because it tries to lay groundwork for a franchise. And it's like after the credits, you'll see that stuff, after the big logo tops up. So no real spoilers there, but I don't know. Realistically, I don't know if this movie's good enough to launch a franchise. But probably, you know, I guess the United States audiences, we're not as wowed by the big explosions and the big bombs and the big as other audiences. Maybe this movie is not made for American audiences. Maybe it's made for foreign audiences, and that's okay. I, again, never really got into the Transformers, for example. I loved the Transformers growing up, but the movies as an adult, they're just not my thing. It's all about the explosions and very little of the emotion and very little of the cool stuff that I liked about Transformers, or at least that I perceived as a kid. I think this movie kind of follows suit to some extent. There were a couple of moments where I felt something, though. I kind of related to Laura. I kind of related to the other characters in the movie. It's not poorly acted. It's not poorly directed. The CGI is pretty good. The script is okay. I guess it was executed fairly well. But when you put it all together, you get a fairly mediocre, wishy-washy movie. It's probably a good renter for $1. I don't recommend spending $15 to see it in IMAX. Though if you have to see it in the theater, if it's only a few more bucks to see it in IMAX, it's probably worth it because the sound is good, the action is good. I really do feel, and I was talking to my friend about this after seeing the movie, the beginning of the movie, the whole setup and everything is kind of unnecessary. Doesn't really do a lot to build the character, and that's kind of frustrating. So I think you might be bored in the first part of this movie, but stick with it. It picks up towards the end, gets a lot more actiony and stuff. So I would say about a 4 out of 5, or sorry, about a 4 out of 10 is probably too low. A 5 out of 10 is maybe too low. I might split the difference between the critics and the audience and say a 6 out of 10, a 3 out of 5. It's worth renting. If it's on HBO one night, watch it. And if you there's no spoilers. It's literally impossible to spoil this movie because there's nothing that really even happens all that much. So you don't have to rush off to see it. But I think it's a fairly okay watch. That said, let's talk about why I feel that way, and I'll talk about the other specifics. Because I know a lot of people are upset about the casting of Laura here. One more thing before we move this over. Let me go ahead and say, I thought the casting for Laura was amazing. I know a lot of people are worried that she doesn't look the part. Yeah, she doesn't look like the 1996 Tomb Raider, but here's the thing. Neither did Angelina Jolie, honestly. And also, she's not triangular. So for those of you who are too wrapped up about the way she looks, I think she looks fine for the part. We can agree to disagree there if you disagree. But she looks very, very much like Laura for the reboots, and I think that's why they cast her. But her acting is very, very good in this movie. I was very impressed. Also, the physical stuff that she was doing is amazing. I just couldn't believe how strong this woman had to be to do some of the things that she was doing, even if it's in a movie set, even if it's CGI'd, even if it's fake, just to do some of the things that she was doing. Fairly healthy person. So here we go. All right, let's get it moved over here. So I don't have a Tomb Raider theme song. Normally I sing the theme song. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, generic movie tunes. All right, spoiler time. Right from the beginning of this movie, I don't know. It just something felt off to some extent. Like you could just tell this wasn't like that 10 out of 10 movie that you were hoping it was going to be for a video game movie. And it very much felt like the video game. It felt like the cutscenes from the video game. Which is fine in a cutscene for a video game because then I'm going back to the action, I'm going back to playing, I'm going back to figuring out the puzzles myself. Kind of boring to just watch an hour and a half worth of cutscenes. Now, I will say some of these cutscenes are really, some of these scenes are amazing. Obviously, I always squeal with delight when I saw her little pickaxe hatchet thing that she uses in the reboots, the little Easter egg towards the end of the movie where she picks up the two guns at the pawn shop. I love that. I love the cameo by what's his name from Shaun of the Dead as well in the movie. That's amazing. And like when she takes some of the same falls and some of the same wounds from the first video game reboot. So when she got the little piece of metal stuck into her body, I thought that was amazing. Here's the thing, and this really frustrates me because it throws me out of the moment so much. If you get a chunk of metal shoved into your abdomen, I'm willing to suspend disbelief long enough to say you can walk away from that. You can get that sewn up later in a cave. Here's what I won't say. Where's the blood? And I know ratings, you got to imagine the blood these days and so on and so forth. We didn't want to get a PG-13 rating. We didn't want an R rating. I get it. But then just don't give her a wound like that because it destroys the moment. It reminds me I'm watching a movie. It reminds me I'm watching a video game movie on top of that. It reminds me of how gory and awful it was in the video game and how I reacted so negatively. Like, oh my God, this is disgusting. I can't believe this is happening. This is awful. A lot of people called it, what did they call it? They called it a pain porn. The first game was very much pain porn on the reboot. And when you do that here and it's not realistic, cut it out of your movie. That's kind of frustrating to me. But overall, the whole plot of Laura, refusing to admit that her dad is dead and then refusing to sign the papers and then going off to find the dad and then the dad dies because obviously if the dad's still alive, that's going to really change the franchise and the whole dad believing everything is mystical, but it turns out it's just a disease and all of these like little hokey things like that. That's what Tomb Raider is, right? So if you don't like that stuff, then you just don't like Tomb Raider. That's fine. But again, I don't know how that translates. It translates well into a video game. That's a good loose storyline to give me some really cool cutscenes and some really cool action scenes and to fight a bear and to have to kill her first person, which again, when she kills her first person in this movie, incredible scene. Really felt the emotion, really felt the acting, really felt the whole 9 yards. That was great. Seeing her dad was great. Saying goodbye to her dad was great. There's some really good scenes in here. And Walter Goggins, again, I am just obsessed with Walter Goggins. I loved him in Justified. I loved him in Vice Principals. I don't know what else he's been in, but if he's in anything, I will watch it. It's him and Charlie Day are just like at the top of my list of things. One of the reasons I went to see this movie was just because I knew Walter Goggins was in it, playing the bad guy, which is what pretty much he seems to always play is the bad guy. I guess he's just typecast that way. But also he looks the part and plays the part very well, so I'm fine with that. But anyway, what an incredible role he played in here, and it did really well. Again, the final scene with him and her, above the chasm with the lost souls, and she puts the finger in his mouth. It's stuff like that. Again, I get it. It's just, it doesn't come across as like realistic. It doesn't come across. And that's what I think the biggest issue with video game movies is that, obviously the video games are meant to be video games. So they're not meant to be that realistic. Movies are meant to be a little more believable, a little more realistic. And I know, I know I'm watching Tomb Raider. I know no such tombs exist. I know there's no such thing as a disease that can kill you in 30 seconds and turn you into a black zombie. I get all of that. I know I'm supposed to suspend disbelief, but it still has to be believably orchestrated. Now, I have to say, as far as video game movies goes, this is probably still in the top 10. Honestly, it's a fun watch. It's way better than Warcraft, which is, I think, the last video game movie adaptation I saw, which was, go watch my review for that. Go to see somebody who's kind of like unhappy with the movie. I didn't crap all over that one because it was like a 4 out of 10, maybe a 5 out of 10, and this is closer to a 6.5, but oh, Jesus. I really wish that they could find the mix between the two. You know, take the video game and pay homage to it and build a realistic movie around it and get that perfect balance. But maybe the next Tomb Raider will be better. I'll probably rent it. I don't even know, go to see it at the theater. I certainly won't pay $15 to see it in IMAX, but I will say it's all right. Overall, I think the casting was great. The costuming was great. The CGI was great. The plot needed work, and the pacing and the timing needed to work. But as far as video game movies go, this is a good movie to put on in the background while you play a mobile video game or a video game on another television. I would not recommend going to this theater to see it. All right, that's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Let me know if you think I'm right or wrong in the comment section below. Guys, thanks for watching. I love you very much. I'll speak with you again soon. Now, the last time I posted a movie review, you guys said you wanted to see more movie reviews. So let's see how this one performs. Hopefully you watched it all the way to the end. Maybe you'll drop a like on it. Maybe you'll leave a comment. Maybe you'll share it. Interact with it so YouTube knows that it's a good video and that you're enjoying these. And if you tell YouTube that, and YouTube continues to help them get views, and we break just say 100,000 views on this, which is a fairly moderate, easy to reach goal. We reach that goal, I'll probably go see another movie next week, and we'll talk about it then. Guys, thanks for watching. I love you very much. Speak with you again.